City Board's council meeting is Monday, May 5th, at 6 p.m. I'll ask Councilman Hardy to lead us in.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for all the blessings you've bestowed upon us and received. Thank you for those folks who are gathered here today because they're interested in what's going on. Thank you for all the blessings you've bestowed upon us. We ask you to come and be with us in our meeting and help us to make sound decisions for the future of our city. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please stand for pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here. Councilman Lewis C. Hardy Jr.
Here.
Councilwoman Andrea L. Coleman. Here. Councilman Carol D. Magid Jr.
Here.
Councilwoman Kelly D. Gerald. Here. Councilwoman Tanya M. Sykes. Here. Rachel Neighbors, City Administrator, Treasurer. Here. Brady Graham, Clerk. John C. Zelinski, City Attorney.
Here.
We'll begin the meeting for approval of minutes. There's 17 minutes for approval tonight. That is for our April 7th regular city council meeting. Those have been provided to council prior to tonight's meeting. Any corrections or additions that we need to make to those minutes? If there are none, I'll entertain a motion that the minutes of the April 7th, 2025 council meeting be approved. Motion to approve by Mr. Paget, is there a second? Second by Mr. Any further discussion of the minutes? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. Ms. Goss?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Gerald?
Yes.
Mr. Paget?
Yes.
Ms. Sykes?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Begin with under communications with the mayor's report. Just a few things to mention tonight. Last Tuesday, April 29th, the city hosted a Meet the Mayor and Council event over at Watson Park on Cedar Street. We wanted to show the community the repairs that have been made to the meeting room. We had about 50 people or so attend. The room at Watson Park is now open for public use. It can be rented for events like birthday parties, family reunions, things like that. So we've still got more improvements to come to the park. There's a rental form available at City Hall if anybody wants to rent the room for anything over at Watson Park. I represented Loris at the York County League of Cities meeting. That was on Thursday, April 17th. It was held at the train depot in Myrtle Beach. When we heard a presentation from the Champion Autism Network about services they provide for families and businesses to assist people who suffer from autism. The next meeting is going to be in July, and the City Board is the next host of that. Cleanup is continuing on the old Loris High School site. Just a few weeks left until that should be completed. Also, yesterday, the Loris Garden Club held the dedication of the Thelma B. Suggs Butterfly Park. It's down at the American Legion Hut on West Main Street. Miss Suggs was a charter member and first president of the Loris Garden Club back in 1952. If you've not seen the improvements they made there, please ride by and take a look at it. It's really nice. It's right there around the Lone Star Memorial Highway marker on the American Legion property on West Main Street. Miss Suggs, of course, the mother of Ms. Pat Fowler and mother-in-law, Mr. Ronald Fowler. And, she was a very special lady. We heard a lot of good things about her yesterday, the impact she had on our community. Progress continues on the installation of the new main sewer line, which runs along Pinewood Drive and out to the treatment plant on Claiborne Street. That project being funded by a grant received from the state. And also, Saturday, April 19th, the Chamber of Commerce held their big show, was the small town big show car show, is what they call it. The weather was great, it was a big success. And Ms. Samantha here from the chamber, Samantha Norris. Okay, usually you'll into her report, and I'll see her here tonight. We'll move to our administrator's report, Ms. Neighbors.
I'm going to keep it short tonight. I've presented the year-to-date financials through April 30th. And I'm continuing working on our new budget for next year that we'll talk about probably next month.
Thank you. Committee reports, there was one committee that met during the last month, it was the Public Safety Committee. That is Councilman Harden, Chairman of that committee.
Public Safety Committee met last week, and we discussed some issues with the police, not issues, but something that we're planning with the police department and some things that are ongoing in the fire department. And we'll be meeting with some folks later on.
Excuse me. Can y'all talk a little louder or turn your volume up?
We're trying to.
Thank you.
Some of us are a little hard of hearing. Is that it, Mr. Harden?
Yes.
All right, we'll move to the department head reports. Written reports have been submitted to council. Code enforcement and planning, any additions to the written reports?
I do not have any additions, but we do have a lot of big projects that are going on. Things going on with the subdivisions that we previously, planning commission had approved. Meadowwalk phase 1 is starting to come to a close on parts of it. They've not started on phase 2. That will be our next step, is going into phase 2 for that development. Anything else? Not any questions. That's the only thing I have right now.
Fire department, Chief Hardy.
I do file a report and we have answer questions y'all might have. Also during the day, we've been out to a couple of factories trying to make sure that things are safe for the employees. And I'll let Bob tell you about a couple of programs that we got moving.
Good evening. Two things, for the agenda packet. We got two notifications from the state, Office of Fire Marshal. One was, the Be Safe grant. It's a volunteer strategic assistance for fire equipment grant. It's only for volunteer departments. You have to be 50% or greater with volunteer personnel to receive that. We got $14,000, which is shared, all the departments that approved, they divided the cost. So that money was received, and, with the state procurement, we actually purchased some portable radios that are in the process now of being shipped. So just definitely thank the state for helping with that grant. It's a great program to have the volunteer departments only. Going to be a big help for us in communications on the calls. So we got that formal notification. If you want a copy of the press release, we have that. And also in the past few weeks, we got notified from the Office of State Fire Marshal. We are one of the 2024 community designated communities for the Fire Safe South Carolina program. I might have mentioned that a few months ago. That's a program the state's been doing to, work on fire prevention, community risk reduction, and to be selected, we have to do fire prevention activities, data collection, and training. So there's going to be a formal ceremony in June, Friday, June 13th at 3:30. Any members of City Council are welcome to join the State Firefighters Association and the fire departments down in the Myrtle Beach Convention Center. There'll be like a little plaque, you get a little, they post at the fire department to share, and then, to prove they, for 2025, we have to do other benchmarks, about 5 goals that we're working on reviewing right now to maintain that designation. That's a good accomplishment. The state mentions a 35% increase across the state with fire departments in that program. So just want to do a formal announcement there for Fire Safe South Carolina and each state.
We still have the smoke detector program and carbon monoxide detector
Yep.
program.
That's a big part of the Fire Safe South Carolina is our partnership with Red Cross. And we still have the smoke alarm and carbon monoxide alarm program. If anybody needs any, please go to City Hall, fill out an application or to the Public Safety Building, and we'll definitely install any smoke alarm from the residents.
Those are provided at no cost.
No cost. It's a partnership with the Red Cross and the state and the city.
Anything else?
If you guys sitting on the water bill, we had a safety message. Please visit Fire Safe South Carolina. All the messaging is on there.
Thank you. Move to the police department, Chief Bewley.
Man, I'm good.
We have written reports from Public Works and Recreation. They're not here with us tonight. We'll move on to business. Our first item of business tonight is a resolution. It's resolution 0425. It's a resolution to recognize the Loris High School basketball team and Coach Andrew Eads. Coach Eads with us tonight. Thank you so much for coming, Coach. Congratulations on a very good season with men's basketball at Loris High School. I will read the resolution in its entirety. It's resolution number 0425. A resolution congratulating Loris High School head basketball coach Andrew Eads and 24-25 Loris Lions basketball team. Whereas Coach Andrew Eads became head coach of the Loris High School varsity basketball program for the 2024-2025 season, and whereas under the leadership of Coach Eads and his coaching staff, the Loris Lions basketball players have committed themselves to the hard work and discipline it takes to become winners. And whereas the 2024-2025 Loris Lions men's varsity basketball team finished the regular season with a record of 16 wins and 6 losses, and were perfect in Conference 5-3A with 10 wins and no losses. And whereas the Loris Lions advanced to the South Carolina 3A state playoffs, achieving success through their bracket and secured a berth in the South Carolina 3A lower state championship game, and finished the season with an overall record of 18 wins and 7 losses. And whereas the lower state championship berth was the first in the modern era for Loris High School men's basketball. And whereas Coach Andrew Eads was named the Region 5-3A Coach of the Year. And whereas Coach Eads and the 2024-2025 Loris Lions have created much excitement in our community and have achieved recognition throughout the state for their accomplishments. Now, therefore, the city of Loris hereby recognizes and congratulates Coach Andrew Eads and the 2024-2025 Loris High School Lions basketball team for their outstanding accomplishments on the basketball court, and thanks them for representing and bringing recognition to our city and community. This resolution will be spread upon the minutes of the Loris City Council and copy presented to Coach Andrew Eads. Adopted this 5th day of May, 2025. Is there a motion regarding resolution 0425? Move to pass the resolution number 0425. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? Call for the vote. Ms. Gomes?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mrs. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Carroll?
Yes.
Mr. Paget? Mrs. Sykes? And I vote yes. Congratulations, Coach. Thank you. Congratulations. Great season. Look forward to the
Thank you for the great honors.
I can speak on it.
Let you mad.
First off, just want to say thank you for having me here. Really, I want to kind of hit on one point, and that is nothing without the dedicated players that have been a part of this program here. Mayor asked me here tonight if I brought any guys with me. They're working so hard, they've jumped straight into spring football, where they're trying to achieve the same success that we had in basketball. So unfortunately, we couldn't have any of them here tonight, but you see them around town. Just tell them you're proud of them, because they've done an unbelievable job in really athletics at Loras High School as a whole, but in particular with our male athletes going to the lower state championship in football and basketball this year. That's an incredible accomplishment. But thank you once again for this, and I'd be remiss if I didn't bring it up, but I think we just kind of had a ceremony here. We're celebrating a lot, but we're also mourning a lot at this given moment. If you could, keep the Richburg family in your thoughts and prayers anytime you see not just any talented athlete, but a young life taken way, way too prematurely. Just kind of, as a parent, I feel that. I'm sure all of us do, but keep that family in your thoughts and prayers. But again, thank you once again for this, and I really appreciate all the honor and recognition that you give us here today. Thank you.
Move along to item B under business tonight. That is first reading on ordinance 0125. And Ms. Holmes, if you'll read that by title only.
Ordinance number 01-25, an ordinance granting unto South Carolina Public Service Authority, a body corporate and politic, a franchise to own, operate, and maintain within the corporate limits of the city of Loras an electric utility light and power plant, transmission, and distribution system.
Mr. Zelinski, you want to explain that to us in layman terms?
Yes, sir. Council members are no doubt familiar with the fact that you've had a franchise agreement with Santee Cooper probably since the 1960s, at least since 1975. The latest one, the most recent one, passed back in 2002, and it was a 23-year agreement, which is set to expire June 30th this year. What Santee Cooper and the city are agreeing to do with this ordinance is to have a 30-year franchise agreement, which is based on the same terms that you've had for the last 23, say for some indemnification language that has changed over the years through attorney general's opinions. It's basically perpetuating what you've been doing with Santee Cooper, including the fee that you have been 40% of the franchise fee that Santee Cooper has been paying has been put into a fund for the purpose of enhancing underground line construction. And I believe there's about over $3 million left in that. Again, that'll continue to perpetuate. Anna Strickland with Santee Cooper is here if you have any specific questions, but we're just simply asking you to get first reading together this time.
Thank you, Mr. Zelinski. Anna, thank you for coming. Anything you would like to add?
I just want to thank the city of Loras for the many years of partnership, and we are happy to extend this franchise and see the fruits of the franchise underground conversion fund. I have a feeling that y'all will be taking advantage of that very soon, and we're glad to see you.
Through the franchise fee that is generated, money goes into our general fund and also into that fund, Santee Cooper holds and controls to assist communities with converting overhead wiring to underground wiring. So this is just an extension, as Mr. Zelinski indicated, of the franchise agreement we've had in place for many, many years. Hearing that, is there any discussion from council? I'll entertain a motion that we approve the first reading. We have a motion by Councilman Hardy to approve ordinance 0125 for first reading. Is there a second? Second by Councilwoman Cole. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. Ms. Goss?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Golden?
Yes.
Ms. Gerald?
Yes.
Mr. Patrick?
Yes.
Ms. Sykes? And I vote yes. Item C is first reading of ordinance 0225. Ms. Holmes, will you read that one by title only, please?
Ordinance 02-25, an ordinance to annex 0.58 legal acres into the corporate limits of the city of Lewis as R-1.4 residential, located on the northern side of Russ Road, County Road, pin number 177-10-01-0013.
Is there a motion on first reading regarding this ordinance 0225?
I believe we first reading on this one.
There's a motion from Councilman Hardy. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Sykes. Any further discussion by council? This is first reading. We have second reading. Hearing no further discussion, call for the vote. Ms. Goss?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Golden?
Yes.
Ms. Gerald?
Yes.
Mr. Patrick?
Yes.
Ms. Sykes?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Item D is ordinance 0325. It is an annexation ordinance. Ms. Holmes, will we have my time, please?
Ordinance 03-25, an ordinance to annex 2.04 legal acres into the corporate limits of the city of Lewis as C2 Commercial General, located on the southeast corner of US 701 North and Fox Bay Road, State Road -26-570, pin number 176-12-01-0009.
This is better known as the corner beside Wendy's and Speedway. correct?
Yes.
Is there a motion as to first reading of ordinance number 0325? First reading, approval, first reading. Motion for Councilman Paget to approve the ordinance of annexation on first reading. Is there a second? Second, Ms. Sykes. Any discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. Ms. Goss?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Golden?
Yes.
Ms. Gerald?
Yes.
Mr. Paget?
Yes.
Ms. Sykes?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Moving to item E, this is a consideration of an annexation petition whereby property owners requesting that this property be annexed into the city of Morris. Ms. Holmes, can you explain that from the planning department?
So essentially, we've got the way our ordinance is worded, we have a petition requesting annexation. The process for that is it first has to be presented to city council to be accepted. City council refers to the planning commission for recommendation on the zoning district. Planning commission will give city council back their recommendation regarding the zoning district, and then it is then up to city council to approve. It still requires 2 readings, but that has to go to planning commission for recommendation before coming back to city council for any kind of action vote.
And planning commission has to conduct a public hearing as well,
Yes,
correct?
yes. So you have the 2 public hearings whenever it goes before one by planning commission and one by city council.
So the acceptance of the petition simply gets the process rolling. And the determination is made after review by the planning commission, public hearings, and then we have to have, in order for it to be annexed, they have to have 2 readings of the ordinance.
And essentially this, an annexation is only to incorporate it into the city limits. At that point is what you're doing with an annexation. Because all you're looking at is basically bringing that land into the city.
Can you explain what land that is?
Exactly, where the boundaries would be.
So the boundaries for that, it's gonna tie to the PIN numbers associated with it. So pin number 18500000018 and pin number that ends in 0041. That is the property that is behind the current Morris High School. It's between, kind of in between behind the high school, 66 and Heritage Road.
Because that pattern would run from 66 all the way to Heritage Road? Or is there a property line off of 66 towards Heritage Road where it'll start or stop?
Well, that's what we have to find out. This is a petition to us, for us to consider it for annexation. Once we get that, if we accept, then the city planning commission looks at it and makes a recommendation to the city council.
Are you gonna hold public input before you vote to accept the annexation request? Are you planning to hold a public, who sign up, or are you gonna do a public
So there's
input,
public comment at the end of the meeting, I believe.
but not before you vote to accept it now?
No, ma'am, because the public hearing, if we accept it, the public hearing will be scheduled by the planning commission at a later date. Anybody that wants to say anything about the proposal can come in and talk to the planning commission about it.
Well, how can we stop from even going in?
That's
to a vote?
How's that your
Yeah.
decision?
Where's Colts Neck Road land in that?
Please do tell us where Colts Neck Road lands in that.
And 66.
Because we don't
And
want to be
66.
annexed.
Oh, by the way, and Red Bluff.
Whoa, slow down, y'all, slow down. We cannot annex anybody's property except for a property owner that comes to us and wants to be annexed. We're not out to annex your property if you don't want to be annexed in the town. This has to be a property owner asks the city to be annexed. And that is one property owner that is asking us to annex that property. All we're saying.
What's it being annexed for?
It just borders up to our land, that's all I'm saying.
Because somebody wants to develop.
Another development.
I think their concerns are being contiguous with the property that gets annexed, because at that point in time, if they sign the pre-annexation agreement, if they're on your water, then you could annex them, you could require annexation on them. I think that's maybe what they're concerned about.
And another concern is 250 to 500 homes going there to a little square of land between Hennifer Road and Highway 66. When you can't hardly get during school hours right now.
And then
You
you
can't
got
get
also,
on and off the road.
you also got to factor in flooding, for which building them houses.
There's a lot of wetlands and stuff in there too.
We all, hang on, I'm not trying to cut anybody off or be unreasonable here, but all it is asking us tonight is to accept the petition for annexation, to start a process whereby the developer can come in, meet with the planning commission, address all of the concerns that the planning commission may have, and have a public hearing to address the concerns the citizens may have. You know, we can't start any of that process.
Yeah, we want to stop it. We want to stop it.
Yeah, we wanna stop it now. I'm with them.
We don't even want it to happen.
Well, hang on again, y'all, and we're a little bit out of order here as to the way we need to do things. But that property is sitting there, and a developer can develop it if he wants to right now under county regulations, or he can come into the city.
Well, you know something?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, there's some Venus flytraps back in the woods, and that's federally regulated. I say that because I'm from Ash, North Carolina, and they come in there and want to put 5,000 behind our house, and we stay close to the green swamps. And you can't do nothing because of the Venus flytraps. Now, my dad told me earlier today that that's what he did when he was 5, 6 years old, played with them. So that's telling me in a wetlands back in there, you'll find some. If you find some, they gotta stop.
They were there because that was my daddy's property, some of it.
And that may be true. That's why there's a process, that's why there's a process in place to vet all of this
Because
stuff
that goes to
in
federal.
a reasonable
Yeah.
manner. And the only way we can address that is the city council is to accept the petition for annexation to allow everybody to have the public.
With all due respect, we want to voice our concerns before you accept the annexation.
That's it.
We just wanna let you
That's
know
it.
how we feel.
Okay.
That's all we
Your Honor,
want.
You're making a
may I
decision.
Come knowledge,
Yeah.
so everybody will know, which is not being revealed. This developer was denied by the county.
Yes.
So that being said, he wants to get annexed to our town and take over our businesses and build more into this community, okay? That's where I have a problem because, Your Honor, Mr. Mayor, my home sits in a low spot. I am a business owner in this town. Not only am I a business owner, but I am a homeowner as well. And if they are allowed to take over this acreage, mass amount, by the way, which is behind the existing high school, it's gonna make our farms, our homes, our cattle, and our families susceptible to having to be transplanted because he was denied by the county.
And it didn't happen.
This is our problem. We do not want this. You gotta factor in the ecological system. You have to factor in the flood systems. Is your planning committee gonna factor all that in? Are you gonna move these animals to another location so they can live? I mean, come on, you're, Mr. Mayor, look, I'm just a lowly construction worker, right? But I don't wanna have to rebuild my home every 3 years because it floods, because a rich developer wants to come in and build in our community and flood us out.
That's right.
They wanted 273 houses the first time they tried to take that to the county. Now they're gonna come in here and do smaller lots under the city and build 500.
Respectfully, Your Honor, we don't want it.
I watched my in-laws swim out of my mother-in-law's childhood home on Circle Drive during Hurricane Florence. And I watched them have to redo their house from entirety and then have to move out of the city because of them being fearful from more flooding. And out of a home she lived in since 1965. That's sad. I hated to see that. That was hard to watch. But I think you've been given $5 million worth of state funding out of a grant for upgrades to the infrastructure for stormwater and for water and sewer because of the stormwater that's infiltrating the water and sewer system is causing their bills to go up. I don't live in the city, but I've lived in Lawrence my entire life. And I love everybody that lives in the city and I love this town. And I don't want to see it continue to flood. We had a rain event last August and there was multiple roads that were closed and it was just a regular old rain event. Wasn't a storm, wasn't a named storm, and you couldn't cross Heritage Road, Circle Drive was closed.
Yep.
The water comes from Heritage, so
Right.
if you put that many houses on that property and annex that property, that water will come through there, it will cross Heritage Road and it'll flood downtown just like it's done many times in the past. We don't want it to get worse.
Your Honor, no offense, we don't want this to be Houston. We don't want this to be Washington DC. We want this to stay our quiet, quaint little country town of Lawrence, South Carolina. That's all we want. We don't want no more houses
The ditches on Jenniferville Road is approximately 9-10 foot deep and probably 12 foot wide. And I've seen them flood over. We live on 66, we got main canal ditches coming off of those ditches that run behind the schoolhouse and all. And the state's cleaned them ditches out twice in the 40-some years I've owned that land. Me and my neighbors has cleaned our ditches out over ourselves. And then road where it crosses the road, right there at Morris Middle School, it's already washed out twice in the past 20 years. And they replace it, but it keeps washing out, because there's just too much water coming through there for the smaller ditches on the other side of 66 to happen. And, hey, I don't want 500 houses behind me.
Sir, could I ask a question, please? We lived on 66 for 30 some odd years. My wife lived on it all of her life. That property, I walked every inch of it on the right-hand side of the school side and on the other side that I used to lease to hunt. That land has been massaged recently to run the ditches out to Heritage Road to the state ditches. Now, I'd like to see the permits that these people got to be able to encroach and bring that water. She was just saying a regular old rainstorm just caused it. I have been, I'm 6 foot tall. I have walked back there when it's a bank. That's all it is. It's a gigantic bank. Under my hip boots right here. Just not a hurricane, just a storm. So they massaged that property to get it into some type of shape, and I think y'all should know about that, because it's wrong. If they've got, I'd like for y'all to know if they've got encroachment to the state ditches and stuff, cause now, this lady here just said they had flooding on a regular rainstorm, and we're low in water. So there's black bear back there. We had one in the mailbox when we moved 4 or 5 years ago. There's wild quail back there. I mean, there's every little type of game back there, and there's a ton of wetlands. So I think y'all might need to dig further in before you make a decision that's gonna affect a lot of people and have to come back here. I know you're not liking what I'm saying, sir, but that's okay. But it's gonna affect a lot of people who's gonna have to come back here after work, hurry home, I did it, to get here, and say the same thing again, but I think council should be informed on what's going on here. You don't go in there and massage wetlands. You don't go in there and dig ditches to state right of ways. You don't do it, and I don't know, maybe they have permits. I'm not sure, but it's a bay. The difference between a bay and a swamp, no country folk, y'all know the difference. There's a run in a swamp. There ain't no run in a bay. They make runs.
I just like to say, I lived in 4610 for Circle Drive for 25 years.
Talk to him, brother. Talk to him.
And you have to send your family out of the house. You got the chainsaw sitting on the table. Y'all can't do this to these people. You know as good as I do, that nothing has got any better. And it's just gonna get worse. I mean, these people, I don't live in town anymore because after 3 times, they're, I just couldn't take it. My nerves couldn't take it. I mean, some of y'all been here, some of y'all know me, some of you don't, but Circle Drive, Rogers, Meadows, and Divine Street, when this happens, you're in a lot of trouble. And I'm telling you because I was the one swimming. Y'all just don't do that.
Your Honor, I've got 3 sump pumps up under my house when it rains. I had 3 of them operating today. 3 sump pumps up under my home, pumping out water because the drainage system is not up to par. I live out on Cold Snake Road. I work out of War, South Carolina. I spend my money, my hard-earned blood, sweat, and tears money in this town to keep this economy thriving. Yes, I'm like this man here. I don't live in town, so in essence, respectfully, I really don't have a say with y'all, but I do because I bring my money to this town. I spend my money in this town, okay? But I have 3 sump pumps up under my home where I lay my head down, where I have to fix it if it gets flooded. Is the county gonna fix it? No. Is the city gonna offer to fix it? No, they're not. It comes out of my pocket. Insurance don't cover little. They try to get you everywhere they can. That's the reason why we're asking you respectfully and gracefully with as much dignity as we can muster. Please do not let this happen. This is all nothing but pure, unadulterated greed. That's all it is.
That's all it is.
I am in construction. I've been in construction for the last 29 years. I've worked construction, but this would be an insult to our community. You would be telling us, we don't care. It's all about the money. My name is David Boyd, and I'm the owner and operator of David Boyd Construction.
Mr. Mayor, everyone here has homes. Just about everyone here has homes in that area. We do too. My cousin, my brother, and I. We own over 100-year-old family farm right on the next road. And if you do this, you're gonna flood us out.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't believe. Farmland won't be any good. We won't be able to do anything.
Yeah.
And we're trying to stop this before it ever gets started. Because once y'all get the ball rolling, it's just gonna keep right on rolling and you're not gonna pay us any attention.
Mr.
You never
Mayor,
do.
I,
But this time you need to pay attention to every person in this room.
Mr. Mayor, my land on this farm he's talking about backs right up, right to the edge, to where where they want to do all this stuff. And I've got pretty good land, but what's gonna happen is like my sister said, you're gonna flood it out. It ain't gonna be no good no more. And it's like, why destroy it? How many 100-year-old farms are they out there still able to work? They're not. They're not out there, very few. You know, tobacco was the big thing, it's gone. We tried to do everything, the farmers are doing all they can to try to grow things and feed their own families. And when something like this happens, it destroys a farmer. The same farmer that gets on his knees every night to pray for rain. You know, we put seed in, you know, and fertilize it. But God gives the rain and God gives the increase. You know, in saying that is our land was God given to start with because it's all His. Why do we want to destroy His land? It might be somebody else's for right now, but in the long run, it's all God's. I own 13.43 acres of a 100-year-old farm. And I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it go away. And it's something to be proud of, really. Thank you.
It's our heritage, Your Honor.
It's our heritage. It's something I'm gonna pass down to my son, and he passed it down to his, because the Davises and we just about extinct. My daddy's the only living Davis there other than me and my sisters and my son and his son. You know.
What my cousin is trying to say, Your Honor, that's my cousin and that's my cousin down there. Both the fine ladies down there on that pew is my cousins. But I'm gonna tell you, what we're really trying to tell you, Your Honor, is that what we have left over there, that is our own personal paradise.
Amen. That
is our only place that we can actually say, we own this, we live here, we work for this. And for a developer to come in and flood us out, you're stripping this family of everything that it's ever worked for, bled, cried, and sweated for. That would just be a spit in the face to the people that live in this community that's been here for centuries. That would be a spit in the face of our families if you say, yeah, put the red stamp on there and say, let's get them built. That's going to be a spit in our face because we're going to get flooded out.
I'm just gonna say, engineer in here, and for the engineer to tell us that all this building is not adding to the flood, they must think we're fools. Exactly. Mr. Mayor, I'm just gonna say this, that we all, you can see that all of us are on the same page here. But I'm gonna tell you, if you send it through, everyone that's on the same page is gonna come back, we're gonna fight for it.
That's right.
We're gonna fight against it. It's not gonna do what it takes.
We will remember.
Respectfully, and it's not gonna be
Respectfully,
passive.
it ain't that kind of fight, but you know what I'm talking about. We're gonna fight for what's ours.
Going on the farm,
You
I
go
own
too.
2.5 acres. And I've owned it for over 40 years. I bought it from Mr. Ross Wilson when I was 19 years old, and I'm 67. And it's peaceful out there, there's more people built, moved in, they just built 6 houses right across down the little dirt road, North Lane in front of them. You know, if somebody wants to build a house or a land, that's fine with anybody. I mean, because when you take a plot of land like that right there, everybody in here has got property attached to that plot of land. And then you go and take and put a big old circle of houses in the center of it. Who wants that? How would you like it if they took the heart of Loris up here, right on Railroad Street, and come in there and build a big old building and said Conway, South Carolina? It wouldn't be too nice. I mean, this, I don't want, hey, like I said, I ain't in the city limits right now, and I don't want to be in the city limits. And I ain't gonna be in the city limits, if God will. But I don't want houses built where I have to get flooded out where I'm at, roads washing out because the chickens can't handle the water. And the traffic, if you take and get this rolling where they can get in there and start building these houses, and they go in there and they put all these houses in there. What's our roads and stuff gonna look like around here?
Like they're worse than what they are now.
66, they ain't been paved in 40 years. It's been patched, it ain't never been paved. You drive down, it's like driving on a dirt road just about. And the more trap people you put in that little circle right there, the more people it's gonna have to travel around to the high school, north middle school, and like I said, it's too much traffic now.
And the Heritage Road.
People, they turned 66 into a main road to Myrtle Beach. Since they got 22 and 31, 66 is a main road to Myrtle Beach. More cars, or as many cars travel that road to Myrtle Beach as they do up on number 9.
So my
Yes,
question is, sorry.
Go ahead.
My question is, you said the planning committee would look at the land with 300 acres. My family owns 150 acres on the opposite side. We just had it surveyed 5 years ago. Majority of it is wetlands. If it's wetlands and it's protected, then they can't develop it, correct?
Yeah, they just truck load after dump truck load like they always do and build them.
Because the whole thing,
2 days later, they build it fully.
150 acres on Heritage, on the opposite side, they were on 44 acres on 66. And we kept it very farmland, other than family building houses there. And so I know that there is wetlands.
It's wetlands
It's
because it
wetlands.
butts up to my land, and 5 of my 10 acres is wetlands, and it butts up to that, so it has to
So
be
they can
wetlands.
just pay a penalty.
Well, in the county, if they pay a penalty, that's how they are able to build on these homes like they did on 9.
Exactly.
You see what it's done to that.
Cause that's why my father-in-law bought up the land. He
Yeah.
didn't want housing developments.
Well, I
And
watched
he
the
passed away before he could go on that side.
there was 6 houses right down the road in front of my house. I watched them build 6 houses out there, and that was all farmland. But I watched them haul, about 10 loads, 10 to 12 loads of dirt at each one of those houses. They spreaded it out with a bobcat. 2 days later, they formed it and poured concrete on it. The inspector had went and done the compression test on that soil, and if he passed it, he needs his license for it. I'm a certified soil inspector, got the work done it a bunch of times, concrete and everything. There ain't no way that soil is packed tight enough to pour concrete on it. And they didn't even have a packer on it. Big packer, they had an old fiber ring. And they poured concrete on it. The 3rd day, sat there for 2 days, they poured concrete on it. Go to them houses, 6 to 8 months that they built. They poured them on concrete slabs, watch the sheetrock be cracking.
Or the concrete slab's got a quarter-inch hole, quarter-inch cracks in them. I
Exactly.
know exactly which cracks it's
My
on.
son bought a house right there on 915, in 6 months, the sheetrock was cracking in. Because they done it the same way, and I told him, don't buy it, but he didn't listen when he bought it in. Now he's got cracks in his sheetrock. Well,
Sir, with that being said, okay, great, but I'm not gonna talk about land, I'm gonna talk about a man. My father is a paralyzed Vietnam vet, and we live off of Heritage and Woodrow Lane. If I have to get him out of there in an emergency, is the city council gonna come help me get him out? Because he weighs about 300 pounds. I know my neighbors will, but I got a paralyzed father and a mother that's 83 years old. How are we expected to get them out of flood issues?
And on top of that, Your Honor, bottom line is they were denied by the county. So why should we, the people of Lower South Carolina, allow them to come in and build if they were denied by the county? That's, with that, I'll rest my case.
I was at the hearing with the county, so that's right. Glenn Harrington was there, where's Mark Causey, he was there. There was a bunch of us at the county when we went over there to do it.
I just want to say one thing. I'm neighbors with a couple of you guys. I appreciate you guys' service. But in saying that, I live on Circle Drive like two of you do. I own land between Rogers Road, Circle Drive, and Forest Drive, 10 acres. We might as well hand Forest Drive over to FEMA if we have another hurricane. We might as well hand it over. Y'all know that. Nothing's improved. I've lived on that street with you guys for 47 years. It's not improved. Enough's enough. Like, seriously, just investigate more before you take this next step. Do your due diligence is all anybody's asking. Do your due diligence. We know growth is coming, but this is bad growth. You can't say it's good growth. This is bad growth. Then if we get that ball rolling, there ain't no turning back. Those guys will go over y'all. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. I just ask you guys, just do your due diligence, because if not, those neighborhoods who vote for y'all won't be there anymore. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
All the thing we do is put a yellow mark, do that and mark it, put an X on.
Yes, you want.
Thank you.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Felix Pitts with G3 Engineering. We represent the property owner. Thank you for having me here tonight.
Please speak louder.
I'll do my best, ma'am.
You're out there playing ball, you speak.
There's been a few accusations thrown around tonight, and I'm just gonna try to get us back on track if I can. But the question that's before you guys tonight is, should the property be annexed into the city of Lawrence? What it is not is, should the property be developed? That's a foregone conclusion. This property will be developed. It's just a matter of, is it gonna be developed in the city of Lawrence? Or is it gonna be developed in Horry County?
Well, you'll have a fight on your hands, yeah.
How do you know that?
Neither one, because they don't have
Well,
to.
ask you to maintain order, and not interrupt anyone that spoke, so please give him a chance to speak.
So by developing it in the city of Lawrence, it will allow us to work with y'all, control the layout, control of access, control development of the site through drainage. You'll also see it all the way through subdivision plat approval, construction, and closeout, working with Meredith and Wayne. There's been some conversations about drainage. We have to meet state stormwater standards. We cannot increase our post-development rate of runoff. We'll be working with Wayne and Meredith, and we'll get it right until they're happy with it, or we'll never be approved at all. I do want to say that we were just getting ready to move forward with designing and permitting this property under existing zoning in Horry County, when it was brought to our attention that there may be interest in annexing it into the city of Lawrence, or we wouldn't even be here.
Well, if my house floods and it ain't never flooded.
Sir, I'm sorry, I sat by and listened to everybody talk.
Guarantee me you would pay the rate.
Let's have order in here now. Chief, you still here? Stay with us.
So the question at heart tonight is, if the property is developed in Horry County, do you guys want all of the heartburn, all of the burden, and none of the benefits, not even from an increased tax base to get some additional revenue to solve some of these problems that sounds like some of your surrounding community and residents have some complaints about? We would be contributing to that. It's about controlling your destiny and benefiting from the additional tax revenue that's created. It's about us becoming partners in developing the properties, rather than y'all just standing by idly and watching it get developed in the county and have no say-so in what goes on with the project. I would like to add one other factor, and we'll get a chance to go through all this, hopefully as it goes through the planning commission and council for y'all's review and consideration. The property is deed restricted to 10,000 square foot, residential lots. That equates to the most restricted, least intense residential zoning classification that you guys make. So if we're coming in, the intended use, when we discuss zoning, would be for residential, but it is the least intense zoning classification that the city of Loris makes for residential. I'd also like to add that the property has been deed restricted to a 25-foot undisturbed buffer all the way around the property. And these are some things that traditionally, Loris doesn't see when it comes to development, nor things that we could be held to under a straight zoning request. That's all I've got, unless you guys have got any additional questions for me.
Yeah, I got one. How many houses y'all planning on putting in there?
That's not determined yet, but we have it deed restricted as a maximum. And the deed restriction for the maximum is actually less units than would be allowed under the most restrictive zoning classification y'all make. So
You didn't answer the question.
you didn't answer the question. R 1.4 allows for a maximum residential density of 4 units per acre, and this property is deed restricted to 3 per quarter. So how can we do any better than that? It's more restricted than your most restricted.
And your lot size is 1 acre.
10,000 square foot.
With 3 houses per acre.
10,000 square foot.
4 houses.
It doesn't exactly work out like that because we've got wetlands on it, we've got road right of way, we've got open space. There's a lot of factors.
So just estimate how many houses you think you're gonna put in. That should be an easy question.
It's tough because it's relative to the open space, but you could say.
I'm sure y'all figured out how many houses y'all can put in.
No more than 3 units per acre, it's not even close to that. And it's still approximately 560.
There you go. Looking at maybe more.
Am I on trial here, sir?
I'm just asking an honest question. I wanna know how many houses will be put in that area. And I don't understand why you can't answer if you're the engineer.
Mr. Mayor, do you people would like to see the $5 million in grant funding from the state utilized to its maximum capacity, before we see more strain on the existing infrastructure that's in this area?
Thank you.
If we don't annex this property, we will proceed with development of it in Horry County.
See what Mark can do for you.
I don't see any way that benefits the city at all.
Put it in his ball.
And like I said, when we started, I understood that maybe there was some interest in discussing annexation. We wouldn't even be here tonight.
How can you do that to wetlands? You don't know yet.
There's no care there, brother. There's no care. They could care less about us. He just said they're going to develop it, whatever. If I had that kind of wetlands, I would at least be honest enough to tell the homeowner, man, there's a whole lot of other things involved other than developing this piece of land. They're heartless.
So
they're heartless.
There's a lot of things being thrown around. The property is not all wetland. We've got a current wetland delineation.
We stay there, we know.
Yeah, I've been here all my life, I can tell you.
We will be required to be permitting our property, working
You live in Horry County,
with
wetlands.
to get a phase 1 threatened endangered species study. I mean, we've got to go out and do geotechnical testing, to make sure the soils are appropriate, so we don't have foundation failure, road failure. And I just like to point out to you guys, is master plan communities, I mean, those are the ones where we get to really dig into drainage design and manipulation of land to have superior subdivision, as opposed to helter-skelter, minor subdivision stuff that's happened over decades and decades and decades. That's what contributes to drainage problems. And I would imagine
Down, please.
contributes to drainage problems, in the city of Wolf. Master plan communities, I mean, we can overmanage on site. We can work with Meredith and Wayne, to solve adjacent drainage problems and help assist them. City staff. I'm just saying, we got options to work together. If it gets involved in the county, then we don't have options to work together. Issues like adjacent property owner drainage issues, we don't get to have a conversation about how the property is accessed. We don't get to have a conversation about the way it's laid out. And you guys are very well, don't get to benefit from any of the revenue generated from the development.
Before he leaves the podium, can I ask him a question?
You can ask me a question.
I can ask you a question, okay? County, if I'm not mistaken, county is, you can only do it in half-acre lots. So you wouldn't be able to get 3 to an acre. Number two, you wouldn't be here at city council trying to get it annexed. Its profitability of the city council was better than county. So you go ahead and build your development, I'm pretty sure you're gonna lose your butt. But you go ahead and do what you gotta do. But you told a lie, saying right there, you can't, it's half-acre lot.
I'm sorry, sir?
It's half-acre
I said
lot.
we were prepared to develop it under existing zone.
Well, county is half-acre lot.
That's correct.
You said 3 to an acre.
That's
not a
if
half-acre lot.
that's if it comes into the city.
Oh, okay. There we go. I didn't wait in kind of had a little
I'm not
bit
sure
wrong.
what you
Maybe
might
I didn't hear you
call it.
correctly. I'm not calling you a liar, but I know what county.
No, you are, and you're wrong. I'm sorry, you just didn't hear me
Somewhat
correctly.
Mike, can I say something? You know me, I grew up with a lot of these people in this room. Sonya's a good friend of mine. Tanya's a good friend of mine. A lot of these people are good friends. I graduated with you. This is wrong. They're trying to sneak in a doorway. And they're trying to make it look good for Loris. Those people are gonna go to North Myrtle Beach, Myrtle's in it, wherever they want to. That don't mean all that revenue's gonna come in here. Maybe you get a little bit of tax money, but that's it. It's gonna clog up your school system. You don't have the teachers now to teach in the schools. You don't have the doctors to take care of the people. And sir, I'm sorry, but you are lying.
I'm the local surveyor. I'm Christian in this area, and I've done the work on that property for about 8-9 years ago. There's a lot of wetlands. But the only thing I can say, I have families here too, kind of helping them out. We have family that bust up to it. Best option y'all can do is let the city control it. You give it to the county, you have no control. Y'all got the most control here than anywhere. And y'all have the control. When it goes to the county, it gets pushed on through. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. You can.
County wasn't even considered.
No, but the thing about it is the MRD one zoning, they 7,000 square foot lots. They can get 2 per acre easily. I've seen it
That's
happen.
better than
But-
getting 3 per
But they
acre.
can say 1.5, one per acre. That gives them a chance to say less than more. That's what I'm saying. I'm just putting my 2 cents in. I'm doing it for,
I don't have
as a general, but
developing the
if they can
Give
do,
people a whole acre of land.
but you give council a chance to say 1.5 or 1 house per acre. Then you have a chance to get the zoning you want. When you go to the county, you got too many different avenues and they can go back and forth. But if you give the city a chance to do their own zoning, you'll have process, you'll have steps over the county, stamp and approve, stamp and approve.
Sir,
I see that.
Councilman Halsey told him that he wouldn't even hear a rezoning request, and that's why.
But they still can go back half acre lots.
FA,
And yes,
sir.
but they, but this
FA.
here, they can say 1.25, they can go less, you know what I'm saying, they can actually have control. I'm just gonna give you ideas, this is what.
But he has plans for that already. He doesn't
Well,
have any
he
plans.
can change his plans, but at least this group of individuals you can talk to. Then you can.
Yeah, but it's-
That's my
They got
opinion, say
a
so.
whole stormwater department.
If
that
they
can
decide to
come
do
in and
it,
look at
correct.
If they want to, it's just like say 1.1, it's gonna get developed some way or another, at least you can say it's less, and you can have them do more things in development to make it better for the town.
Well, I really think you're wasting taxpayer dollars right now.
Yeah.
By even having this.
But it just makes it better for y'all to sit here and give you input like you are now. Y'all come together as a group, y'all got input. There, it's gonna be hard to get more input. At least you got direct contact.
That's not
from 6
true.
individuals.
I disagree with that. Cause
That's
I've
my-
been to the county.
I mean, if Highway 90 is any indication, Horry County doesn't give a shit about flooding either. So they're just gonna let whatever they're.
He's not even addressed that.
I had 36 inches of water in my house on Highway 90. That's why I live in Loris now. So they don't care either. So, I mean, I think whoever just said that might be right. Maybe Loris should be the ones to decide. And with all due respect to due process, all they're asking for is for the city to consider this.
Correct.
They're not even asking for any kind of permission. They're just asking for the city to go through the due process of allowing us to come in here and say why we don't want it, or why we want huge lots, or why we want some of the wetlands conserved in this development, if it's going to be here, or has to be here.
Well, he's already said they're gonna build them whether we do it or
Well,
not. Do you
so
have
do you
any
want it under
plans
the
to
county
conserve
or
those
the city?
wetlands, sir? Do you have any plans for the animals that there, the fly traps, the wetlands? Do you have anything conservative in
All
that?
Yeah, so we have some preliminary yield studies drawn on the property, and it has zero wetland impacts.
That's bull. I grew up, my dad owned some.
Wow, man.
We have a core letter with the Army Corps of Engineers, and when we
How
go in
much
front
you
of
pay
the
him?
commission and council, we'll share the letter, we'll share the wetland delineation. And we'll tell everybody.
That's some more you put on boy.
Hey, Mike, I got a question. Does the city of Loris collect, impact fees on new buildings being constructed in city limits?
You have fire impact fee for, fire department, and you have water and sewer impact fees for connecting to the system.
But that's it, nothing like the county's got, right?
Don't think so.
Well, maybe you ought to consider doing that because, you know, if the county lets them go do it, the county's gonna give them a reduced rate on the impact fees like they normally do. And with over 500 houses being built in the area, there's gonna be a huge impact on the infrastructure. And you know who's gonna be left holding the bag? The city of Loris.
And I think some of us, we're not trying to say we don't want it developed at all. We understand that they own that land. But it can't be that many houses per
No.
acre. It can't.
Ain't no way.
I mean, I know for a fact that, well, my husband tried to tell you. Like you know, every time we have a storm, the city floods. I was flooded out of my home 3 times. And I'm where I am because I was flooded out. I couldn't leave my childhood home.
Don't be right down the street from you.
I know.
I live on Main Street and I've got a sump pump under my house.
Can I ask a question about the process? If this goes through tonight, what is the process? There's multiple readings, you said, like a couple planning and a couple city council, is that right? So what is the timeline if this all goes like as it's supposed to in due process?
I'll try to explain that in the beginning as to where we are with this request. This is simply an annexation petition request, which means the landowner is asking that the city consider annexing it into town. If we vote affirmatively, yes, then we refer it immediately to the planning commission. The planning commission has to meet, they have to do the proper review, see the site plans, make him jump through all the hoops that he's supposed to jump through. They, after they've done their due diligence, they make a recommendation to the city council. And the city council has to decide whether to annex the property into town or not. That process has to be 2 readings of an ordinance. If we did not agree to annex it, it'd be over and done. But to get the process started on the city side, accepting the petition is the only way for it to advance. If we don't accept the petition, then there's nothing more the city can do with it.
So to answer my question, how long is the process if it all goes through? Is it 2 months, 6 months? for the annexation portion of it?
It would depend on how quickly the planning commission is satisfied with the developer and what they're proposing. And then have a public hearing, and after the public hearing, they're referring back to, they would make a report back to the city council. The city council would have to set a public hearing. And then after the public hearing, we would have to have a first reading of an ordinance and then a second reading of an ordinance.
So we're looking at least 3-4 months. If,
Probably 2 to 3 months, if everything happened like clockwork, yes, 2 or 3 months.
and that would be for annexation. That would potentially be for the annexation, and then there would be further stuff that would need to happen for the development.
Well, the development would be evaluated by the planning commission.
Okay.
And they would make a recommendation back to city council based on the development plans as to what we should zone the property and what type of development would be allowed.
Okay. And how many city council seats are open, in the November election?
Sorry.
How many city council seats are coming up for election this year? Okay, thank you.
Mike, may I ask one question?
Yes, sir.
With 200, 300, 400, 500 homes, whatever they are, is this fire department, I just saw Jerry here earlier, is this fire department gonna handle all that and the city of Lawrence further out? Or is that gonna be burdened on the county? And if the city is gonna take care of that, what are the mills gonna be? Because you're gonna have to build another fire department. You're gonna have, or unless you let the county take it over. And if you let the county take it over, the city is gonna have to pay the county. Right now, it's different. So how do y'all, have y'all looked into that further to see how you're gonna take care of these newcomers or either people here that maybe would buy there? But how you gonna take care of it?
Well, those would be things that would be considered in the process as the planning commission evaluates whether this is a good project or not. The city council is seeing this for the first time.
Right, yeah.
So, you're telling us things that probably nobody up here has ever heard of.
And I think y'all done a good job of listening to everybody. You thank you for that.
Trying to be lenient in that regard tonight.
That's fine.
We appreciate it.
But I mean, that's a big consideration, that who's gonna take care of who in case of an emergency. Like flooding, like fire, you put that many houses there.
We just had
Have enough to take care of fire if it spreads quick. I mean, it's just something that I think needs to be taken into consideration before it ever leaves from here today.
Even down behind the hospital
When you go.
floods. Down behind the hospital now floods.
Yeah.
Mike,
Thanks so much.
I'm not in construction, so this is an outside kind of question, or yet it's kind of inside. Are we hearing tonight that the land is going to be, I live on Heritage Road, 8 acres, that kind of stuff. Is it going to be developed regardless? Somebody owns it. Sounds like we're trying to decide tonight who can govern better over all this stuff. Who are the people that know us and will listen to us? Will we have better control if it's gonna be done anyway? And y'all get the revenue. So that helps with the fire department and the roads and the stuff. See, I think we're asking questions that we're not quite there yet. I mean, I understand that. But I do think that we're not conscious of who's gonna govern the best if it's gonna be developed anyway.
I want to just say that the county has a large crew of building inspectors that the city of Lawrence doesn't have, and I'm not saying anything bad about that. There's also a stormwater department and a lot of inspectors for that stormwater department that will inspect that property. And when you're talking of upwards over 100 homes, I would say that the county would probably govern that project a little better just because they're bigger staff. And they can build
Let me say something to that, hang on. So we have an agreement with Horry County to review our plans. So they will be reviewing our plans, they will be inspecting this site. Guys, I'm just telling you, you're better off here than you are there.
Why?
Because of the stormwater. They're gonna go out there and put in swales, and that's it. And it's gonna come on you. Just watch and see what I tell you. It's gonna come on you, people.
Well, it's one thing.
See, they were told to put something.
If it's deemed wetlands, they won't be developed.
I've done a lot of these. I've been around this for going on 30 years now. And I would just say that council, staff, everybody in the room are very respectful. With this one, this is not a prospective track where if they don't close, oh well, and this is over. These guys, they're not gonna get, they've been told that Horry County wouldn't even, I mean, they could submit, but it'd be suicide. They're not gonna hear them. We're dead on arrival for a rezoning in Horry County. These people are forced to do something with that property. And you've got to ask yourself, do we want to control it? And are we going to get a better product than if it's developed in the county and we get all of the burden, all the problem, all the traffic, all the drainage, all the stormwater, and we get nothing out of it? We get no say-so. We get no say-so in how it's laid out. And we don't get to control the end product nor benefit from the increased tax base. That's
Do
the
you
problem
live
with
here?
this.
Well, we still don't.
Do you live in Lawrence or
So we
nearby?
just have to eat it just.
I'm
because
just
I live in
they got
Horry County.
You live in Horry County, but you don't live in this particular area. I'm
It's
just
a
asking.
decision that council's got to make, but all I'm saying is, it's not, if this gets denied, in 12 months, there will be land disturbance permits granted on that
With no
property.
regards to the infrastructure. No matter
Well,
what.
it'll be a county issue at that point.
Or the
We'll-
flooding.
We can't be held to any other standard under straight zoning or a county than anybody else, because we're not asking for anything from anybody over at Horry County.
May I ask you a question, sir?
Sure.
So, either you go with the city or you go with the county, right, respectfully. It's my family and everybody else's family is gonna be screwed, okay? Let me ask you this. I'm a hardworking man, just like every other individual in here. All right, I've got leather hands, calluses, very hard, for everything on it. You build on that property. And it comes in, and it destroys not only my home.
Did anybody tell you what to do with your property, sir?
Let me- hold
How
on,
to develop
hold on,
your
hold on,
property?
Sir, I'm
No,
not.
they didn't.
Sir, respectfully, I'm not being aggressive, I'm just asking a question. My house was built in 63. I have no control over that. Okay, this house was inherited by me and my wife, to me and my wife. Okay, the same that y'all build, and that water comes in and it flushes out my home. The only thing I got left is what little bit of land that's back in, and it flushes out the rest of our families. Are you gonna come in there and fix it for us with your own hands?
We're required to meet state stormwater standards. You just told me that your property doesn't meet any kind of standard.
Respectfully, sir, I have a hard time believing that you and your company are gonna meet the stormwater regulations.
I think our farmers have a lot
We
more
wouldn't be
standards than
granted a
they do.
permit from the state, or worse, if we couldn't. So,
They got the
I guess,
money to build it anyhow, they got the money to get it.
I guess it'll never be developed if we can't meet state stormwater.
Can I ask you a question, please, sir? Respectfully. Y'all could, y'all, I know y'all love to build these kind of communities and stuff and throw them all together. Because when you leave here, you want to go somewhere else and disturb their way of living.
A lot of people.
And their
wanna move-
peace, like tonight, we sitting here, sir, I'm talking. Be respectful, please, sir. So, what I'm saying is we all up in here and we all got a little problem with it. And you're standing over there and you're telling all of us, regardless of what they do or what the county does, we gonna sit here and eat it. I'm asking you, sir, is there any other land around that's a little bit higher up that y'all can build on? Since y'all love to build these things and you get paid well, what I'm saying is you need to put what has been told in your heart and in your head and tell it to your other people that they got problems down here because you got a lot of people that's upset. And until you realize that we are really upset, then maybe you can deal with us a little better.
I understand.
Because wait a minute. Because right now, we're not able to deal with you. I'm just saying that. And Mr. Mayor, all I ask is you and the council to please consider our problems. Just consider what you heard tonight. Take it on yourself. I don't say, I mean, if you want to make a vote and go with it, whatever. But put it on your minds, each and every one of you. I don't know if any of y'all would be effective with this at all, but I'm just asking, hey, think about it really hard. Because we talking about a lot of people. We ain't talking about, look here, there's a lot of land around Lawrence. There is a pile of it. There's a reason why that nobody built a house on it a long time ago. Because it ain't fit. They take it in for seeing you can go down the road, what we call go by Orient Telephone and go to down there to Red Bluff. And just like my man said, there's swamps that's getting built up and putting houses on. Pure swamps. I'm talking about they have to stack the house at least 6-7 foot high. I'm just saying, all these complaints and problems, thank you for addressing them. And I ask, and out of my heart, that each and every one of y'all think about it. Just think about it. And say, Mr. Mayor, how about tell us that don't worry about it, folks, that we'll think about it and do the right thing. And when we do the right thing, y'all be the first one to know it. And that's what we need right now. If not, we all gonna be leaving here in a bitch fest. And mad as all get out. We took her cookies and everything else. We're gonna be pissed off. We're gonna go home. We're gonna sit at the dinner table, and we're not gonna be able to have a good conversation at all. And just listen. Thank you. And I'll shut up.
I got one last thing to say, if you will. And, he's not giving us a definite answer how many houses he's gonna build. So, I'm saying, he said there were 500 acres, I think. So you got 3 per acre, so that's 1,500 houses. Okay, so just say the rest, he goes in there and that one plot away, he builds 500 houses. 500 houses, a lot of houses. How many houses?
530 is what it's being restricted to. So
530.
it's not 1,500.
Okay, well then, you should have told me 530 when I asked. I asked you a question, you refused to answer. No, you shot me a lot of bullshit.
Excuse me, can I just ask you a question? How long has the current landowner owned that section of land? Because what aroused my concern, standing in the back, was you said he's being forced to do something with it. We're in the process of buying a massive chunk of land from Palomar just off 66. Will we have to have rezoning done on our land? Because I can guarantee the land that we're buying will not be developed under no circumstances.
Thank you.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It will be. It's in progress. It's in progress. But what you're planning on developing bumps right up onto what we're buying. You will have a massive impact. We're looking at 44 acres that my family will own. Why is the landowner currently being forced to do something with it? Because from our 44 acres, we'll have 2 mobile homes on it. One for me and my wife, and one for our children.
Are you a county resident or are you a Loris resident?
Yeah.
You can come into Loris and kind of join the conversation, with
No, I'm just asking you why the landowner is being forced. You said that the landowner.
They bought it for the purposes of land development and seeing that they can't get it rezoned in Horry County. They will be forced to develop it under existing zoning if we're not approved for annexation into Forest.
Okay, so.
They're not just gonna walk away from it.
And say, okay, well, we can't do it. So having that large chunk of property, they're having to rezone it. It's not residential zoning at the minute, is it?
When it's annexed into the city of Conway, they have to determine what zoning is gonna be placed.
It's the city of Conway, it's the city of Conway.
City of Forest.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay, it's okay. I'm
A lot of people, this isn't easy.
So they invested in something, they took a gamble, and now they're forced to do something.
Yeah.
Not us.
And they're willing to develop.
They got a lot of money.
They're willing.
That's
There
what
it
their intent
is.
was to begin
But
with.
They're being
Like I
forced,
said,
nobody's being forced.
It came to our attention that Loris would have interest in talking to us about annexation, or we wouldn't even be here today.
I thought that was the first they've heard of this. How did they get in touch with you?
I mean,
I mean, I just heard,
Davis on all that.
I understand the county, but this, you just said that we got,
I have not
City of Morris got in touch with you.
through conversations that people have on the street,
Oh, okay, so they have heard of
there would
this.
probably, that, you know,
Now,
they would
well,
be
there you
interested
go,
in
it all
talking
comes
about
out.
Plus, we are, that's a great point too, man, thank you. I mean, we're adjacent, so it's within our right to ask.
How long is the current?
Oh, you can ask, but it's, you're making it sound like you're being forced.
I'm sorry,
How long is that current land?
I'm not sure, but
Since
probably like,
September 14th, 2020.
I was gonna say 5 years.
Okay, and they're now only deciding to develop, or is this something that they've already been sent?
They've had intention for a while, but they kind of bought it prior to, I guess, maybe the market maturing enough to where there'd be a market for,
So they should be going to do, hope to reach their butt. Thank you.
So they're in a bind.
Yeah.
Well, they're not in a bind, but you said forced.
Not
So
really.
forced is,
They're not
they're
really in a
forced,
bind.
not us. We're not forced.
So you're gonna put 530 houses.
You have one more, don't you?
Yeah, but you didn't let me finish, you told me to stop.
Yeah, that's it.
No, Steve, you told me to go. You know what happened. You get paid a lot of money. We both had it. Yeah, you didn't let it be, come over. You built 500 houses in that circle. How many houses do you think is adjacent, 2 miles out from that Florida land, all the way around that Florida land? How many houses do you think is in the area, 2 miles out?
That's my house anywhere they go.
I'll bet you ain't over 500.
They're not gonna hold it up to 5 years.
How many do you think?
Because we all own large amounts of land.
No, we passed a little this long ago. We can't sit here all night.
Yeah, he's, oh, he wants to call these ones.
I can.
Well, I guess you've heard what we had to say, I guess it's up to y'all to vote.
We're waiting on.
All that is before the city council tonight is to accept the request annex and then forward it to the planning commission for them to work out whatever agreement can be worked out with the developer, listen to the input from the citizens, and then decide whether it's a good thing for Loris or not. And then they refer it back to the city council with a recommendation. That is the only thing before the city council here tonight. It doesn't mean we endorse it, it doesn't mean we're in favor of 500 and some homes, it doesn't mean we're in favor, not in favor of anything. It means we're accepting it, so the concept can be studied and determined whether it is good or bad, whether the development as presented by the developer is good, or if there's some compromise that needs to be worked out in order to at least folks in that area happy, make the developer satisfied with the development of the property. That is what is before us tonight, nothing else. This is not a final vote by any means to say, yes, there's gonna be development out there, there's gonna be 500 homes there, there's gonna be 100 homes there. It's just a chance for the city to get involved, to have some input and some control over what happens on that property. That is all that would be voted on here tonight. So I just want to make that clear, that is the only thing in front of this council tonight. I don't want you to leave here and say, oh, council, allow 500 homes to be built adjacent to my property. That is not true. There's not one that would be if a petition for annexation was accepted. It's just to consider the request, refer to the planning commission, let them do what their job is, to do further study, work with the developer, solicit citizen input, and then move forward from there, either to make a recommendation back to council, or to develop it in some manner, or make a recommendation back to us not to do that. And that's what the question is here tonight, if I understand the procedure correctly. Is that, Mr. Zelinski, is that, Mr. Zelinski is our attorney, is that correct, sir?
That is the procedure.
So with that, is there any motion regarding the annexation petition on this particular property that has been discussed here tonight?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to see the due process in the evaluation of this. And I want to hear the answers to the questions that some of these citizens have asked. So with that in mind, I move to approve the petition as presented to us tonight.
All right, we have a motion to accept the petition. So it can be reviewed through the proper channels. Is there a second?
Watch out for
Second.
Any good discussion, call for the vote. Ms. Johnson? Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Sykes? And I vote yes. Next item of business tonight is to receive the planning commission report regarding the zoning request for 1.19 acres of Ward 7.
Good.
Go ahead, Ms. Holmes, go ahead, ma'am. Tell us, give us the report from the planning commission.
So item F is rezoning request that was submitted to the planning commission. They heard, and made a recommendation back to city council. We had that in your packet, as the recommendation letter from the planning commission. A little bit of backstory. So in your packet also, for that particular matter, you've got a copy of the original annexation ordinance number 07-03. So originally, this property was annexed into the city limits as R1. It was annexed into the city. R1 is divided into 3 different types. 1.4, 1.5, 1.7. That all have different setbacks. They're all single family, but they do have different side setbacks. And the number of lots. There was essentially a clerical error made in this lawsuit. We had a summary sheet of the property that was annexed in by the years in. And it shows on that under 2003 that same TMS number was annexed in as C2, so that's what ended up going onto the digital zoning map. That you also have a copy of the packet, was from at least 2017. So with that, and there being, I spoke with the city attorney, we were kind of unsure how that may have happened, so to clarify, settle it, so we had it clear. The applicant had the option of, essentially, the easiest way to do is rezone it, so that way we do have paper trails showing what it should be and what it is, so we have that with the map. The current owner was given the option of a few different zoning districts, if they wanted to go with the R1s, pick one with it, or if they wanted to go C2. Our future land use maps that the city council had adopted with the comp plan last year, do show that 701 is being a major corridor, and essentially frontage on both sides of 701 just strips with it, and they don't line up with parcels as being commercially focused. Residential uses are still allowed in all of our commercial districts except for industrial. But not all commercial uses are allowed in residential districts, so that's kind of where that came from for that. The applicant for that rezoning request is present also, if there's anything they wanted to add with, or if y'all had any questions for them. Essentially, what we're needing to do is kind of flag that the question of what the true zoning district is for it. The applicant did submit wanting it as C2. It's contiguous to the city limits based on what was annexed in the railroad. And that is also noted in the recommendation letter. Again, this is, I think, some of the confusion we had at that public hearing was people were thinking that we were annexing surrounding properties, which is not the case. This parcel is currently on 3 sides, essentially surrounded by county zoning CFA, which is now a retired zoning district of Horry County. Essentially, it's commercial forest agriculture is a county zone that we don't have. So it's just kind of get an update for y'all. We've had a public hearing for it, but it has not gone to public hearing for y'all. This is just updates and direction from the city council.
Yeah, according to our procedures and ordinance, all city council does tonight is receive a report from the planning commission. Then we have to set up a public hearing, and then after the public hearing, we have 2 readings of the ordinance before it's official. So all we're doing tonight is accepting the report from the planning commission, and their recommendation is to zone the property C2. Is that correct?
Yes, to approve the rezone request of C2.
We'll just move forward and set that up for a public hearing in the near future and move forward.
Can I say something as the owner, one of the owners? I signed up.
That's okay, go ahead.
Okay, we purchased, the land was put for sale when we bought it in 2020 as a C2 property. That's what the real estate was, that's what the previous owner, Martha Ray, that we bought it from, was told by the city that it was. That's what the mapping showed with all of our proof. And so we have pastor church here and also on Axie Pulling, and so we live in Morris. And we decided not to build on it and found a buyer that's looking to buy it. We spent money on it as a C2, and there was no issues. The only reason the issue came up now is because when we had another buyer come to us who just wants to do something minor, nothing. There's no room for Walmart. There's no room for Taco Bell. All the things that were argued. So now we had until today because we knew it would take about 2 months process. So they extended their agreement with us to hold off on dropping out of it because of what we were advised to go ahead and do it this way instead of fighting with the city. To not just to go back by what was the error was made. So we were advised the best way was to do a 2 to 3 month process. And now we're going even further into that. So we're going to lose our buyer because of this. So we're asking, why does it have to go for clerical error and not go with the vote when it's been through 2 meetings, voted as C2, and now we're gonna lose out. We're losing out because now we don't have the buyer's not gonna wait that long. Not that he's rushing to develop it, but there's land everywhere you can buy. It's just a small lot with a clerical error that even the previous owner, everybody was advised it was a C2. All the maps showed it. We would not have bought it in 2022 had it not been a C2. And we did our due diligence. The city said, yes, it's a C2. So now it's almost coming as a suit on the city because a vote cannot be made tonight.
The ordinance is clear that we receive a report from the planning commission and the city council has to have a public hearing and then 2 readings of an ordinance in order to rezone the property. So we're just following the procedure set out in the ordinance.
Which is not informed correctly, then, because now it's turned into form.
So that is the correct procedure that we're anticipating and trying to do.
So just blame on that one.
Item G is discussion of possible construction of a joint training facility for the Lawrence Police and Fire Departments. That was discussed at the Public Safety Committee meeting about a week ago. Mr. Hardy, have more tell us about that.
Excuse me. This is something that we began talking about several years ago. The city owns some land there south of the city. Bottom Bay property. It used to be a place where yard waste was deposited after it was picked up. But we're thinking about having a joint training facility for the police department and the fire department, where we have units for the fire department to train in multiple situations, and that the law enforcement, the Morris Police, and their reps, they want to use it. We have firing range and things like that, what they can do. This is just something that we're in the discussion of possibly doing, and we're looking for ways to get it done. And that's what we discussed at the meeting the other day. So we're not sure how long it's going to take to do or what it will cost, but we're in the preliminary stages of that right now.
And where is this facility?
Boggy Bay Road, south of town, where Ben Todd used to operate Blueberry Farm. Right in that area.
And there's a lot of work and a lot of planning involved in this. The police department and fire department have already done some of that. There's a lot more to do. And as they said in the public safety meeting, this is not something that's going to happen in the next 6 months. It may be next year or 18 months from now, just due to all the things that have to be done, the approval process and regulatory process and things like that. So what we're hoping tonight is that the council will just vote to endorse the concept and encourage them to continue their plan. And then as the plans come together, certainly we get together and discuss it and have a more concrete idea of what they can do and the cost and that type of thing. So having said that, is there
The committee is bringing before council as something that we should vote on and saying that we intend to move forward, at least in concept and planning on the facility. From the planning commission, public safety committee, we'll bring it to you as that information.
is that a motion?
That is a motion on behalf
Public
of
Safety Committee.
Yes, it is.
We, the council endorse the concept of the construction of a joint training facility for police and fire.
Exactly.
So that's a motion from Mr. Hardy coming from the committee. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Second by Ms. Goss, that we endorse the concept and encourage the police department and fire department to move forward with gathering information and do all the preliminary work to see this project come to life. So having said that, any more discussion? Round call for the vote, Ms. Goss.
Yes.
Mr. Hardy. Yes. Ms. Coleman.
Yes.
Ms. Gerald.
Yes.
Mr. Patrick.
Yes.
Ms. Sykes.
Yes.
I vote yes. Item H, authorization to obtain a boundary and topographical survey of the Old Morris High School campus property on Broad Street. This is just part of the continuing project to clean up that site and be in position to make some new use of it. We obtained some quotes from local surveyors regarding the cost of the survey. You have those Mary, in front of you.
I do not have them.
both of them do include essentially, right now, if you pull up the map, it shows the whole, all the land that makes up the old high school campus as 4 parcels, 4 10 numbers. Essentially what this is once all the buildings, every structure is cleared off of the lot. We would have a combination survey to put all 4 back as 1 parcel. And showing that there's no more buildings, because the last time what was done was 93 to 95, somewhere in that time range. And get updated topography. Because we've actually had 2 FEMA map changes since that one was the last topography was done. But we got quotes from 2 different surveys. Surveyors in town are doing both the boundary combination and topography at the same time. Whereas if we do the topography after the fact, it won't cost them a lot more. It's cheaper to do those together. And I don't have the total quotes in front of me. One was significantly less than the other, but both under the threshold for the city administrator to approve.
This is something we talked about from the beginning of that project that had to be done. So is there a motion to authorize, since you said the bids can be in amounts that can be authorized by the city administrator?
One thing we need to clarify too is who, when that time comes, they have it prepared, who signs off as the owner for the city, the designated person. Okay.
So hearing that, is there a motion to authorize the city administrator to enter into the contract with the surveyor to survey the property at the Wars Last? So, motion by Mr. Hardy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Goss, any discussion? Call for the vote, Ms. Goss.
Yes.
Mr. Hardy. Yes. Ms. Coleman.
Yes.
Ms. Gerald.
Yes.
Mr. Paget.
Yes.
Ms. Sykes.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Those are all the business items we have tonight, folks. We do have an executive session. I know you members of the public don't want to wait until after executive session. You've been here a long time tonight, so we'll go ahead and do public and press comments at this time. Is anyone still here that has signed up to address council tonight?
Ms. Lynn's here.
And Ms. Greco, you're the only one still here.
All righty. I'll read fast. Good evening. As you will recall, a few months ago, I suggested to the council and asked the question if further investigation might be necessary of possible misappropriation of Loris taxpayer monies in light of the recent scandal involving the past City of Loris employee, Keith Massey, who, as I understand, has since pled guilty to embezzling funds and forgery as treasurer of Giving Hope Gardens. Additionally, Mr. Massey is being sued by his former business partner of All Star Pest Control for breach of contract and fraud. I asked if this inquiry could possibly be added to the ongoing forensic audit that was already taking place. The citizens taxpayers of Loris have not heard one update on the forensic audit requested by Mr. Paget in September 2023, other than it is ongoing. Surely at this point there has been some progress, and if not, then perhaps that was the wrong accounting firm to perform such audit. This, in my opinion, is a lack of transparency between council and the citizens taxpayers of Loris. And we deserve to know what has been determined to date. We want to know if all taxpayer monies have been accounted for and were appropriately spent during Keith Massey's tenure, as well as the status of the forensic audit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Greco. Ms. Long, you spoke already. Mr. Collins, Ms. Long, Mr. Harrison.
I don't have anything. I think y'all got plenty to think about.
Thank you. Mr. Strickland, Ms. Young. I think everybody that signed up has either already spoken as part of our discussion earlier or we've addressed it just now. And Ms. Greco, your concerns are shared by city council, and any investigation that may or may not be going on, and we can have no comment on that until such time as it may or may not be finished. We have, I believe, 2 items for executive session tonight. Is that correct, Mr. Zelinski? We have personal matter and contractual matter.
That's my understanding, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a motion that we go into executive session to discuss a contractual matter and the personnel?
So moved.
It's a lot of time. We were told what we could do the whole trip.
Yes.
Yes.
There they are. I apologize for all of this. Never get this.
No, I don't think so.
I would care. Is there a motion to go back into?
Motion to go back in open session.
Motion by
Second.
Councilman Hardy, second by Councilwoman Coleman, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, call for the vote. Ms. Goss?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Ms. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Gerald?
Yes.
Ms. Patty? Ms. Sykes? And I vote yes. In executive session, no action was taken. We discussed, personnel matter and received information regarding the potential contractual matter. Again, no action, no votes taken in executive session. Those are all the items on the agenda tonight. Is there a motion that we adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Hardy, second by Ms. Johnson. Any discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy? Ms. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Gerald?
Yes.
Ms. Sykes? And I vote yes. Meeting adjourned at 8:34 p.m.
Do we have something to sign, ladies?
Yeah, right.
No, this is, we'll sign